Imagine this: you're a cattle rancher in Texas or a hog farmer in Iowa. You've faced droughts, surging feed costs, and disrupted supply chains. Now, policy adjustments from Washington are reshaping the very assistance programs meant to support you. In this video, we'll explore the evolving landscape of federal aid and subsidies for livestock producers. Recent changes from various administrations have altered the frameworks for financial support, prompting farmers to adapt to new rules and guidelines while searching for updated assistance options. Whether you're a cattle rancher or interested in food economics, this discussion extends beyond barns and balance sheets. It's about the real impact of policies on individuals dedicated to feeding our nation. The backbone: understanding federal farm subsidies. Before diving into changes, let's revisit the foundational aspects. Federal farm subsidies have long been a cornerstone of U.S. agricultural policy. These programs aim to stabilize food prices, assist farmers during natural disasters or economic downturns, enhance food security, and bolster rural economies. While many associate subsidies primarily with crop insurance or direct payments for corn and soybeans, livestock farmers are also beneficiaries. Types of subsidies available to livestock producers: Livestock Forage Disaster Program, LFP, aids ranchers affected by drought. Livestock Indemnity Program, LIP, compensates for livestock losses due to extreme conditions, diseases, or predators. Emergency Assistance for Livestock, Honeybees, and Farm-Raised Fish, ELAP, covers transportation of feed and water, medical bills, and more during crises. Conservation programs like EQIP, Environmental Quality Incentives Program, incentivizing sustainable practices. Market Facilitation Programs, MFP, assists producers impacted by trade disputes and lost markets. What's changing? New directions in policy. Now, let's discuss the exciting developments. Recent changes from Congress and the executive branch suggest a recalibration in agricultural support, particularly for the livestock sector. These adjustments are not outright cuts, but rather redistributions, reconsidered priorities, and novel accountability measures. Key changes to note: increased focus on climate-smart agriculture. Subsidies are now linked to environmental outcomes, like methane reduction in cattle farming or soil restoration in grazing systems. Equity and access overhaul. New programs include specific language and funding aimed at historically underserved producers, including small, minority, and beginner farmers. Digital access and modernization applications, disaster declarations, and compliance have shifted online. Convenient for some, but challenging for those without reliable internet access. Emergency aid reforms. Instead of random disaster relief, a more structured multi-year safety net is being integrated into upcoming Farm Bill proposals. Though the goal remains to support producer resilience, the funding pathways have transformed, and not all producers are pleased. Voices from the field. Perspectives from farmers. Let's hear from those on the ground. Here's what we've gathered. Carrie, hog producer in Missouri. We navigated 3 different programs last year just to cover feed expenses. The constant form changes can feel overwhelming. James, cattle rancher in Texas. LFP was crucial for us during the drought, but new pasture system requirements for eligibility are costly and challenging. Alicia, sustainable livestock farmer in Vermont. I appreciate the shift toward environmental priorities. It finally allows operations like mine to receive the support we've been seeking for so long. As highlighted, experiences vary greatly depending on operation scale, region, and type of farming. The administration's focus. What specific changes has the current administration implemented, and why? Top-level goals include crafting outcome-driven subsidies. Rather than universal payments, financially reward ecological and economic impact. Streamlining programs, reduce redundancy and administrative delays. Rebuilding trust within rural communities through improved transparency and communication. Key changes include introduction of the USDA Climate Smart Commodities Initiative, offering competitive grants for livestock projects linked to carbon tracking. Updating the Conservation Stewardship Program, CSP, to now encompass rotational grazing and pasture renovation. Implementation of modernization initiatives within the Farm Service Agency, FSA, that digitized parts of the emergency relief process. What lies ahead? Proposals to expand insurance-style protections for livestock paralleling crop revenue coverage. Revamped disaster declarations aimed at being more responsive to climate-related events, floods, wildfires, extended freezes. Advocacy for the next farm bill to incorporate permanent drought preparedness funding. Understanding the programs with illustrative scenarios. Let's break down how these programs work using relatable examples. Scenario 1. Drought crisis in Wyoming. Tom experiences a 40% drop in his herd due to drought conditions. He qualifies for LFP, receives per-head assistance for forage losses. ELAP, claims reimbursement for water transportation. FSA microloan, accesses low-interest funds for restocking. Scenario 2. Disease outbreak in Georgia. Ashley loses half of her goat stock due to a severe virus. She benefits from LIPI, partial reimbursement based on fair market values for lost livestock. EKIP, funding to enhance pens and mitigate future disease outbreaks. Scenario 3. Poultry prices plummet due to export bans. Rob's poultry farm in Arkansas suffers contract losses after a market crash. He could receive ad hoc payments, if approved, such as MFP or CFAP programs. Marketing support through co-op initiatives or state partnerships. Chapter 6. What farmers need to adapt. This new environment calls for adaptability. What steps should farmers take? Farmers should establish record-keeping systems early, photos, receipts, loss logs. Regularly check eligibility calendars. Some programs have seasonal openings. Utilize online FSA NRCS portals or collaborate with local extension agents. Participate in producer coalitions to stay informed on policy changes and advocate for favorable terms. Success in accessing subsidies is increasingly a skill rather than just a safety measure. Chapter 7. The debate. Are these reforms beneficial? Like any significant policy shift, the changes to federal subsidies and aid for livestock producers have garnered mixed reactions. Proponents argue that these reforms modernize an outdated system. They believe linking financial support to measurable environmental impacts fosters innovation and sustainability. Supporters view it as a move toward a more efficient agricultural economy, rewarding stewardship over mere survival. They also celebrate increased focus on underserved farming communities, claiming it levels the playing field and introduces new energy and equity into a historically exclusive sector. Opponents, however, worry that these changes complicate access for traditional producers, particularly large-scale or multi-generational farms. They argue that heightened paperwork, shifting standards, and technological demands overwhelm farmers already facing challenges. Critics maintain that the digital transition favors those with tech resources, administrative assistance, and familiarity with navigating bureaucratic systems, potentially leaving smaller operations behind. There is also concern that the greater emphasis on climate-smart practices advantage operations already aligned with those objectives instead of supporting those still striving to adapt. Ultimately, the reforms highlight a broader tension in agricultural policy, balancing accountability with accessibility, innovation with inclusivity, and efficiency with compassion. While these changes open doors for some, they simultaneously pose real challenges for others. As the landscape evolves, farmer feedback will be critical in shaping a system that effectively serves everyone. Chapter 8. Resources for producers. What can livestock producers do when seeking assistance? Useful agencies and resources. FSA County Office, your primary source for disaster relief and payment applications. NRCS Local Field Office, guidance for conservation incentives and pasture management. USDA Service Centers online. Visit farmers.gov for information. Extension Services. Local agricultural experts and universities offer practical assistance. Farm Credit Services provides advice on leveraging subsidies and accessing bridge loans. Additionally, nonprofit organizations like the National Sustainable Agriculture Coalition, NSAC, and Farmers Legal Action Group, FLAG, can clarify legal and eligibility terms. Conclusion. The future of livestock aid in America. As the policy landscape evolves, livestock farmers are called to do more than produce. They must adapt, innovate, and engage in a complex network of federal initiatives. Some argue these changes are essential to modernizing agriculture and addressing climate concerns. Others fear we're losing vital safety nets for farmers. Regardless of your position, one fact stands out. Successfully navigating federal aid today demands more than resilience. It requires insight, strategy, and staying informed. With emerging challenges, from global trade shifts to unpredictable weather, federal programs will likely continue to adapt. The pressing question remains: are they evolving swiftly and fairly enough for those who depend on them most?